Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Lewitzo. We are starting week 12 of ALEC 341, the podcasting class. Welcome back from spring break. I hope you had a great break. As you know, I kind of messed up the timing of things with me taking a break and then you taking a break. So the week 9 through 10 module here that you can see on the screen, behind the scenes planning, please pay attention. Online activity number 8 is due on March 27th, and that's actually going to require you to watch my video and then record a Flipgrid video of you giving a response. So know that that will be due Tuesday, March 27th, right before we have our first class meeting again after break. So try and keep up with those assignments. And then also for week 12, jumping right into it here, I do hope you had a great restful break. You're coming back ready to knock out the rest of the semester, week 12 through 16. We don't have too long to go here. But week 12, you'll have online activity number 10 due, and that is connected to chapter 8. So chapter 8 from the Science for All Americans book. I'd like to keep looking at some of our science literacy concepts. This chapter, chapter 8, is about the designed world and how our different systems that we as humans have designed are interconnected. This is the only chapter in our science literacy book. Remember, these are things we hope Americans know by the year 2061. This is the only chapter that mentions agriculture directly. So it looks at and sort of takes this view that agriculture is this designed system that humans have created. And it includes advances like GMOs, moving genes across organisms, using insecticides, herbicides, reducing the number of pets. You maybe have heard of integrated pest management, number of pests. You may have heard of integrated pest management systems that are being developed. Talks about using the machines that we have in agriculture, tractors, combines, all of these different devices that we use, transportation, communication. We have treatments, additives, refrigeration, and packaging. These are all man-made, woman-made, human-made things that are part of this larger agricultural system that is part of the designed world. So the designed world is the view that we have created this interconnected network of transportation, agriculture, health systems, energy systems, if you talk about the power grid, manufacturing, mechanization. So it's a really interesting chapter. So I do encourage you to at least look through it. Communication is also in this chapter, right? The networks we have created across social media, across radio, across television. These are all human designed things. And why is it important that we have citizens understand this designed world viewpoint and this idea that we operate in systems and systems thinking? And why is that important to our podcasts and to science literacy? And how do we tie all of this together? Well, big data is going to be, or is becoming, a part of the designed world. So in your podcast interviews that you've been doing, start thinking about big data as another system that we don't quite know what to do with. We're kind of at the beginning of the adoption curve for big data. So it's interesting to think about the designed world and then think about big data and agriculture in the context of that. So for week 12, you're watching this video, hopefully, and you'll do this online activity number 10. That it will be due April 3rd. I'm asking you some questions from chapter 1 and then asking you to post some information that you find about technology and related to agriculture and things like that. Number 2 is moving into looking at wind energy and energy systems and how do we understand them? How would we interview someone about them? How would we look at it from a designed world perspective as we think about energy systems? And then number 3 talks about the Internet of Things. So the designed world includes a design for communication and our communication network and system, but it's about to get even more complex if it isn't already. So there's this thing called the Internet of Things that I want you to learn about and consider. We're always so concerned about how we should use and regulate technology. But even from when I started teaching this class a couple of years ago, now we have Alexa, now we have Siri, now we have all of these devices that can talk to us on our phone and in our home and track our moves and track our weather and turn off our lights for us and turn on our security cameras at home. We have all of this thing that feeds into this idea of the Internet of Things. So I'd like you to go to the article link I have there. And here's a quick video that briefly explains the Internet of Things. I'd like you to watch that and then respond to this third prompt here. Also in this module this week, when I make it live, you will see the final podcast rubric that will be used to grade your final scientist projects. Now, no, I know people like rubrics. Rubrics make people happy and feel safe about their grades and how they will be graded. But know that it's really, really difficult, honestly, to put a rubric on top of your podcasts because they're all talking to different scientists. They're all looking at different issues within big data or different tools, different stories. So the content and the creativity part is really hard to put a rubric on top of. But I can sort of put some grading to, did it sound good? Did you use the technology well? Was your editing clean? Did the intro, outro music make sense? Did the flow of the interview go well? So here is a rubric that I pretty much use across the podcast class, the video class, and the photography class in different ways, adjusting the terms. But this is what it is. So we're looking at the quality of the content. Like I said, does your interview make sense? Is the big data topic clearly defined from beginning to end? Do we know that that's what you're focused on and talking about? Did you have a scientist that was appropriate to include on the topic? Like, did they really have insightful information about big data that was worth giving our time to listen to? Or should you have maybe worked with someone else along the way? But usually all these things check off just fine because we know what we've been working on already all semester. Is the terminology and tone of the podcast correct? Were you able to kind of get your scientist to bring the level of their language down for the listener to understand? Is the information accurate? Most of the time, of course it is, because your scientist is talking about their own work. Audio levels, this is where we get into some of the production stuff. Did your voice and their voice sound well together? Were they at the appropriate levels and that sort of thing? Could we understand you? Was the editing choppy or smooth? Was the music at an appropriate level? Organization. So was your podcast the appropriate length? Were there parts of it that felt too long, that drew out too much? Will the listeners learn new things about STEM and STEM careers? Yes, they will from your podcast. And then just overall, is it professional? Is it engaging for public audiences? I have the total at 100 points. If you look at the rubric, though, you get 150 points, I think it is, per podcast. So don't panic. You're pretty much getting those 50 points because I just don't have my rubric fully matching the syllabus. And I don't want to go back and do the math to figure it out because I'm lazy and I hate math. So there we are. I would say just kind of make sure you take a look at that rubric as you're editing so that you're aware of what you'll be graded on. Stay on top of watching these videos and online activities. I know you're really going to start focusing on just editing and getting done between now and that week 16. Something I would like to talk to you about the remaining schedule of this class. So week 12, week 13, and week 14, we will mostly spend editing your podcast. Definitely week 12, definitely week 13 in class. You can use it to record your behind the scenes podcasts, to ask me questions about your editing, to listen to things together, whatever we need to do, project work time, those 2 weeks. Week 14, I want you to have at least rough cuts of your podcast ready to go so that you can have 2 classmates listen to them to give you some feedback, 1 to 2 classmates. We also have a social media plan that we're going to do in there that I most likely am just going to turn it into one of your online activities. My numbers for those are kind of messed up and my point totals are kind of messed up, but I'll figure that out and we'll get through it. Week 15 is another week of some peer review. And then week 16 is when we'll celebrate, have some food, listen to some final podcasts. And then you need to have your 2 podcasts, your behind the scene podcasts, your 2 selfies with the scientists, your podcast descriptions, all of that in a final box folder to me by the Wednesday of finals week so that I can make sure I get grades in on time. All right, if you have any questions about where we are, what we're learning, that's all I've got for you this week. And I hope we are doing well from your break. You come back refreshed, rejuvenated, ready to kick some butt and finish up the semester. I know you'll do great, and I will see you in class soon. Have a great week 12.